Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. The recap of stage 10 of the Tour de France. Had to miss count again because this was stage 11 in 2024. We have the medium mountain stage from Aurillac to Le Lioran, 166.6 kilometers long, 50k shorter than back then. We have a hilly, twisty break formation, but no categorized climbs. Intermediate sprint after 25k's, half an hour. That would be pretty important. Then medium mountains begin, or hills, however you want to call it. I'm going to say medium mountains. They're all about 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes. We have the Côte de Palerol, 3K, 7%, rolling terrain. Then the Col de la Griffoule, 6K, 7%. Then another 3K, 6% climb. Then a 5K, 5% climb. Then the Puy-Marie from the easy side, 7.7K, 6%. The last 2.2Ks is 9%. Descent, 11Ks, 5%. It's a pedaling descent. For some reason, it was covered in what looked like chalk today. So a few riders came a cropper there. Then the Col du Pertus. This is where Vingegaard came back to Pogačar in 2024. 4.5Ks, 8.3%. A twisty, narrow descent. And then the Col de Font des Serres, which is 3.5Ks, 5.5%, short descent, and then a kick up to the line. And yes, we had people talking about breakaway this, breakaway that. People complaining about UAE. What did you expect this morning when you turned on your television, Benji?
Well, I think it's fair to say that if you look at the parkour and if you look at stage 9 in particular, that UAE Team Emirates, if they try to control a stage 9 versatile sprint / breakaway stage, combination of both, could have been both, then they most likely were going to do it on today's stage because it's a shorter stage to begin with. Now, I felt like I wanted to be contrarian in the last podcast, and I picked Richard Carapaz for this from the breakaway. And in hindsight, I'm happy I did so. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I've also got a conspiracy theory about that, but that's also something I'll dive into later. Now, there was so much confusion about why UAE Team Emirates spaced on stage 9. We went into it on the podcast, and I feel like there were two riders on UAE that said we were riding for Pogačar. The other one said we were riding for Del Toro. And then Giannetti said that they weren't riding for the stage at all. So it seems like UAE didn't know where they were pacing based on the different takes we had in that team internally. But from our perspective, I think it's fair to say, if you look at this parkour, there's no reason why you wouldn't pace on today's stage and still do it on stage 9 before then, right? You're muted, buddy.
I'm back in the... We're not live. Yeah, I'm back in the... I'm trying to, get back into the rhythm here. UAE were going to pace. Like, this is the most obvious Pog revenge victory ever. If you're going to pace on stage 9, you're going to pace on this. And that's what we saw, except, what do you make again of Trek's breakaway strategy? Oh, not breakaway. Well, sort of break formation strategy, where what they do is they try to keep it together for the IS, make it hard on it's a slightly uphill sprint. Now they get, because Cantor stopped sprinting, Pedersen got the points. No break had formed, they shut down the break. But I think Simmons and Vacek should be sprinting here.
I think that's a fair take. Now, it did start with a negative moment for Lil Trek because the second the neutral flag dropped, Mes Pedersen had a mechanical. And yes, it's still 21 kilometers before the intermediate sprint, but in the middle of break formation, if that mechanical happens 2 kilometers further, it's in the neutral zone, and sometimes the race even waits until a rider is back before actually starting to race. But he mechanicaled at the worst point possible, which is after the race began. But I think Vacek waited for him. They were back in 4 kilometers time, so still 16k before the intermediate sprint. Then that's when I get to what you were talking about. Multiple teams were active in that break formation. Ineos, EF, NSN, Movistar, Bahrain with Martinez at a certain point. So Quickstep was present. And like you say, Little Trek was controlling the breakaway attacks. And there's then a switch at about 12 kilometers to go, 11 kilometers to go towards the intermediate sprint on that uphill segment you were mentioning, where they start absolutely hard pacing it on an uphill segment. And this splits the peloton. It splits the peloton with Paul Sixas in group 1, where I think Remco and Lipovic might have been present as well in that first group. Pogačar and Vingegaard in the second peloton. Pogačar then seemingly has an inner panic, decides to jump close a pretty solid gap in between those groups by himself, even though there's a UAE rider in the front group that maybe should have dropped, etc., whatever. Eventually, Jonas's group comes back as well, but I'm trying to get to the point here where throughout this entire phase, Trek is the one pulling that first group. So for the last 12K before this intermediate sprint, and I think there's an argument to be made that this aggressive uphill move by Little Trek could be seen as them trying to put Philipsen and Biniam into trouble as well. But putting them into trouble didn't really work, I would say, because once they hit at the intermediate sprint, yes, Biniam and Philipsen don't beat Pedersen, but as you said in I think 5 podcasts so far, I think it's been a topic in multiple so far. The intermediate sprint, if Pedersen comes first, hypothetically, and Biniam and Philipsen come third and fourth, the gap in points is not that gigantic. And like you said a few times, if Pedersen's in a breakaway group, and Philipsen and Biniam can't get into that group, then there's multiple riders in between. But your argument is that if, from the peloton, we get to the situation that Wozniak and Simmons should also try to sprint to take away points against Philipsen and Biniam, right?
Yeah, when it's uphill. Uphill, yeah, because I don't know, I was surprised because Trek did a team attack. It was really strong. Like you said, they split the peloton, Pog's reacting, but then from there, I'm like, go again, because Bini and Philipsen are classics sprinters. Yep. They have a decent engine. If it's very hard on rolling terrain, there's no categorized climbs. In the wheels, even if it's hard, they can follow. Like, they can go in. But what they can't do is jump. Like, Bini and Jasper, if they actually have to hit the wind, follow Pedersen themselves, it's going to be very, very difficult for them. So, yeah, and then if you're not going to do that, then, yeah, then have one of at least Simmons or Wozniak to, like, trail the wheel of Pedersen. Because the gap on the road is big. Like, the sprints are not competitive against Bini and Philipsen, but there's no one in between.
Yeah.
And predictably then MVDP uses that intermediate sprint to then try to restart break formation.
And so did Matthews. And actually, about riders being in between, Matthews, I think, literally pushes Philipsen forward, so he finishes ahead of him at the intermediate sprint. Which is like this funny small thing where even a Matthews doesn't care about being in between there. So that shows to me that a Simmons and Wozniak, I think, like you say, could have played a role in that element of the race for sure. But you said it, riders are now trying to get into the breakaway again after this intermediate sprint. Some try and do it through the intermediate sprint, some try to attack afterwards, but we do get a pretty... It's not a 50-kilometer breakaway formation phase here, but there were a few groups that tried to get away before the actual large breakaway gets away. But who would you say were the most active teams trying to get away after the intermediate sprint? Basically everyone, right?
Alpecin with De Bruyne and MVDP as a tug buddy, EF with everybody, Baudin, Healy, Quinn, doesn't matter, Movistar with Romo, Garcia, Pierna, not Oliveira, but yeah, those guys, Astana have been, apart from the lead out, they've been pretty quiet. Velasco and Higuita were jumping in the breakaway, but it was taking too long. It was just taking too long. The stage 167 Ks, because you know that once... The problem is that UAE, once it gets to the medium mountains, you cannot go faster than them. It's impossible because you don't have a Tim Wellens pulling you. So you have to try to go quicker than Vermeersch and Pollitt on the flat. The problem is there's not enough flat here. It's by the time the break starts to go, I don't know where it was maybe 15 minutes before the first climb started, and UAE even, they tried to shut the break. I was like, again, this is why don't give too much tactical credit. By far the strongest team, but I'm like, why are you trying to panic shut this breakaway? You can literally ride with Tim Wellens and hold it at 1 minute. Chill out. Like, maybe they said their radios weren't working. Luke said that UA said they had new radio station. Maybe they saw a group of 30 going and they're like, we don't know who's in there. Shut it.
I got a lot of teams that try new equipment in the middle of the Tour de France on a GC stage. It's a crazy thing to do. It's like Planche de Belfia, Primoz Roglic with his laser helmet again.
See on the side of his head, yeah.
Yeah, but on this specific stage, yeah, UAE is overly aggressive trying to control breakaway formation, but if at the end of the day it always keeps on working, then then I don't know what to say about it anymore. They're so strong that they can afford to do this, is what I'm trying to say, you know? Because at no point during this stage did I not believe Tadej Pogačar was going to win, except when one man decided to attack in the last 40 kilometers and I started being a bit, I don't know, emotionally invested. But this breakaway, it was a large breakaway. The reality is that I didn't even bother writing the names down. And the reason is, by the second I saw that the breakaway formed, we had Tejada and Romo going on a fuga de la fuga before you should even start thinking about it. This is the moment where you need to try and extend the gap.
What was Romo doing? Like, okay, it doesn't matter, they're not going to win the stage, but they get to the top of the first Cat 3. There's a rolling plateau here. UAE don't want to use Wellens yet, I think. I think they've got like the mesh not going that quick. Maybe it was Wellens, I don't know, or Pollitt. Why? You can't fuga de la fuga when there's no space. And then Astana Tejada goes with Romo. Then in Group 2, Astana get in Group 2 with Agita coming across with Healy. And then Astana stop pulling in both groups. I was like, do you think you have like the luxury of... Are you not aware of what is happening behind you right now?
Is there a world in which the Fuga de la Fuga initially was meant to be a way to split the breakaway into maybe a group of 10 that might collaborate better than a group of 25? Because that I see as a positive, but it clearly didn't work that way.
Okay, but you need Aronsman, you need Healy, you need an EF, you need a Movistar.
It's too early.
It's too early and it's too small. It's too guy. And Romo's like getting angry. He attacks Tejada, goes solo, and that was that. So then the break just became Romo. UAE start, they're going to control that easily. And we saw the crowd start to build. We were in the medium mountains heading towards Puy-Marie. We were wondering when it was going to kick off. And every village, every climb, every roadside at the moment is packed with people soaking up the atmosphere, even in the hot conditions. A little bit cooler today. It's one of the special things of the tour. And if you've ever watched the tour and thought, I'd love to experience that one day, then you should check out Thompson Bike Tours. Thompson has been running cycling trips throughout Europe's most iconic cycling destinations for nearly 25 years. It's not your typical bike holiday. It's built for people who actually want to ride with 100 Ks or more in the saddle each day on many of their trips. They're also the #1 official premium tour operator to the Tour de France. That means you get incredibly close to the race without worrying about the logistics. You'll ride parts of the race route, sprint across an official finish line, stand on the podium, visit the start village, and experience the tour from the inside with Thompson. And I think it's about the closest way you can get to the Tour de France without joining a World Tour team, which maybe some of you can do, but I don't think everybody can. So, looking ahead to 2027, the tour starts in Scotland. And Thompson's founder, Peter Thompson, is Scottish, so they're planning something really special. Advanced reservations are already open at thompsonbiketours.com/TDF/2027. Just mention LRCP 100 in the comments when you book to receive 100% credit on your reservation. Okay.
By
the way, it's
we've got a race.
Healy sprint stage at the start. In case you didn't know, we've got like 2.5 puncher stages for the start of Scotland, and then it goes to the Lake District. But here we've got medium mountains in the Massif Central. Wellens is just doing the Wellens show, Benji. This is what we expected.
Yeah, this breakaway is not going to make it. I was at this point just waiting for Puy-Marie to start, and once that hit, we saw Romo getting caught from the last leftover of the breakaway, basically, by the Tim Wellens show. And then, perhaps the most enjoyable part of today's stage happens. An attack by El Jaguar de Tulcan, Patrick. Richard Carapaz decides to attack against a UAE Team Emirates train. There's like, I can count on my hand the amount of riders that would dare to do this at this point in the race.
It was the perfect move from Carapaz because, and he's been brave enough to call UAE's bluff. Like, Wellens, mega strong all day. Pollitt and Vermeersch, very good. But what's Grosschartner going to do? Can he ride? Like on Tourmalet, he rode a good tempo, but it's still 20 guys in the group. Can he control Carapaz if Carapaz goes early? And he knows what are UAE going to do when it gets to the steep part of Puy-Marie. They're going to wind it up with Yates for the last 2K. So get a head start. And then on the descent, you can go full gas and take risks, and the GC guys might not want to take the same level of risks as you off the Puy-Marie descent. So Grosjean starts to bleed time. He's really suffering. Carapaz gets 35 seconds, I think. Big gap on there. Yates starts to pull on the top. We see Jorgensen sliding, Kuss dropping.
Well, that was while Prudhomme was taking over, no? Or did Prudhomme react on the sliding of Jorgen Kuss?
I'm not sure. But Nicolas Prudhomme was the strongest mountain domestique just about today. He takes over at the top of Puy-Marie, just starts drilling it. Jorgensen on Kuss on a gap. And Carapaz, though, he's got 30 seconds. We get to the descent. Jorgensen's trying to come back. We've got a thinned out GC group. But the interesting thing is the Carapaz attack and the time gap, it like kind of broke the spell of like UAE invincibility, at least from a team perspective. That doesn't change what happens in the rest of the stage, but from like a team perspective, Decathlon we can do something. We can pay. Like if Grosjean is going to let him have 35 seconds, maybe Del Toro's not feeling good. Why are they pacing so slow? Because like I said, if UAE are not steamrolling you at all times, then probably there's something wrong with someone.
Well, for me, there was no sign on Puy-Marie yet. On Puy-Marie, I didn't see any sign. I just expected them to ramp it up towards Pertus where they would hammer it. That was my take there. So for me, it wasn't necessarily shocking to me that Carapaz could gain time. I just presumed that Prudhomme pacing was a reaction to Jorgen Kuss being in trouble and maybe seeing some weakness in Visma that way. That's also a possibility, but I don't know. The descent of Puy-Marie, though, Patrick, that was so sketchy. There was so much chalk or something on the road to the point that we had multiple crashes, one with Harper and Pidcock, which Harper's hand looked pretty bottled up, but Jorgensen also crashed behind the group, so he never came back afterwards, obviously. But what was notable is that because of the sketchiness of the descent, Carapaz is going to take risks. He's trying to win the stage at the front. UAE probably doesn't want to risk their lives on this descent, knowing that GC is more important than the final stage win, and knowing that even if it grows to a minute, it's still possible for Tadej Pogačar to win the stage, presumably from this point onwards. But the gap does expand from 30 seconds to, I think, a minute 10 at the foot of Pertus. Is that fair?
It was big. It was almost a minute 13. And yeah, I think especially after the news of the crashes came through, that slowed Prudhomme, and Sykes was definitely dropping the wheel to him. UAE had no interest in pushing it there. And we get to the bottom of Pertus. Carapaz is ahead. Remember, after that, we have a twisty descent and then a shallow climb, the Font des Serres, after. And Yates pulls. Yates pulls for maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Nicolas Prudhomme starts, and he starts drilling it. Like, absolutely drilling it at the start to the point where Yates just ignores him and keeps doing his pace.
I felt like when Adam Yates was already pacing, I already saw McNulty on the ropes in his wheel, basically. Skelmos was slightly dropping off the back at this point on the climb, and you're right, when Prudhomme takes over, I don't think the Prudhomme pacing was too effective. Because the realistic aspect here, the reality, sorry, that's the word I was looking for. The reality is, while Prudhomme was pacing, Adam Yates decided to do his own tempo, and I think that's because something happened at the start of Pertus here. Because McNulty was not the only one that looked like he was struggling. To me, it looked like Del Toro was struggling as well. But at this point, I had no clue whether that was just me coping or whether there was actually something there. But there's this moment between Adam Yates doing something and Prudhomme taking over where Pogačar rides to the front next to Adam Yates, looks at him, and says something to him. Like, turns his head, moves his head closer, says something. And from that point onwards, Adam Yates slows his tempo for the rest of the climb. My assumption is that Pogačar said, slow down, Del Toro's struggling. I don't know for sure. I wasn't there. But it would explain what happens the rest of the climb. And like you say, when Prudhomme takes over, he gaps the rest because Sixas is not in the wheel. And Adam Yates doesn't want to do that tempo. He wants to ride his own tempo. So it felt like Prudhomme was reverse yo-yoing.
I don't know what he was kind of doing because, were they trying to bait UAE?
I think he was trying to pace.
I think they were trying to bait UAE because Sykes was still kind of good, like at that point.
That Sixas was sitting in the wheel of maybe P6 or something, but if no one follows the wheel of Prudhomme, then his pacing's useless, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, it was crazy. I guess Pradom heard that we were questioning his inclusion over maybe Mühlberger.
We?
Yeah, me. No, Parry Pancha. Parry Pancha got a free ride into this race. Mühlberger should have been in for him.
Correct.
And yeah, and then Yates takes back over, but the pace isn't that strong. And we're thinking, are you going to try to nurse Del Toro to the finish? Like, are they going to try to do that? Because otherwise, McNulty got dropped, came back, but it's not like a nuclear pace. Piganzoli takes over for Visma. He starts to set a pace. Johannessen's dropping, and then we get to the flat section.
Patrick, I think there's a conspiracy here going on, and I think you are involved. On 2 days ago, the stage, 9 podcast, I picked Richard Carapaz trying to manifest the breakaway victory. And I see a situation where Carapaz at this point still has 50 seconds with 2.8 kilometers to go on Pertus. Even with 2 kilometers to go, the gap was pretty significant. And then I suddenly see Visma Leasebike, who have some connections with Patrick Rowe, who wants me to lose this prediction contest, pacing. So I think you didn't want to drop Del Toro. I think the thing you want to do was catch Carapaz to make me lose this prediction game.
What I was begging for the whole time was for Del Toro to actually have attacked across to Carapaz and then sat in his wheel. That's what I was hoping would happen.
You wanted to get the Mexico-Ecuador war back on.
I wanted to see Finestra 2.0, and this time with Carapaz. Yeah, that would have been glorious. But yeah, Carapaz is still looking good for him because he did the first part really, really fast. Like the pacing of the GC group mustn't have actually been that effective. It was really up and down at the start. But then they get to the last bit, and Piganzoli is drilling it, and then Pogačar attacks. He can't wait for Del Toro. I think Del Toro was already sliding. And he wasn't sliding to like be with Schelmoser or Co. He was sliding past Lenny Martinez. He was like really suffering on the climb. And Pogačar goes, and it's immediately a big, big gap. I think it goes to like 15 seconds, quickly 17 seconds. And I think that was that, really. Like, the only difference from Tourmalet was, because Vingegaard wasn't closing him, we had some pretty dodgy time gaps on the screen. He gets the Carapaz, flies past him, obviously, near the top. The only difference to Tourmalet was Vingegaard had companions, and it was actually working out pretty well for him in that he had 2 Trek, 2 Bora, and Sykes, and no Del Toro, who's in third. So if ever a group's going to work to come back, to bring back Pogačar, this group should be incentivized to do so. They go into the descent. Remco just drills it. Remco's smashing that descent. I think Pogačar also pushed it. Carapaz is trying to come back to Pog. He's stuck in the middle. And Del Toro was on like 10, 12 seconds at the top. Pidcock's bringing him back on the descent with Martinez. But it's all about, they're going to get off this descent and then you go onto big road. It's 5%. And I'm like, if Del Toro's not back on the wheel, Remco is going to drill it, the aero bullet, on that 5% section.
It reminded me of the Ronsebaan in the Tour of Founders. It's so wide with like the helicopter view of every group behind each other, and everybody could see each other, which also adds to the epicness of the chase a little bit. Now, it looked to me like Del Toro was not coming back, and he kept on losing time from this point onwards, to be honest. It was more of the more interesting aspect of this segment of the race was, you said it, Remco did a lot of the chasing, but then suddenly we see a shot return to the group of Vingegaard and so forth, and in that group I see a gap behind Lipovic, then the other GC riders, and then a gap towards Remco Evenepoel. So I assume that Lipovic put in a small attack or either a very rough pacing to the point that Remco became the victim of his movements. And low-key in my head I was thinking maybe Lipovic looked around to Remco and said, you wanted a lead out, buddy? I'm going to give you a fucking lead out.
Well, I didn't like Lipovic is ratting Remco. Let's all put it on the table. Lipovic is ratting Remco at every stage, right? You don't think he knows what he's doing?
I don't think he's as how do I say it, is in a respectable manner.
Nah, you're not giving. He knows exactly what he's doing.
This is the guy that attacks a group and rides for 30 minutes in front of a group 10 seconds ahead for like half an hour for no reason.
Like, Remco does a majority of the work on the draft heavy sections, and then Remco's going off the back, and then Lipovic starts drilling it.
I think Lipovic should do more in these valley segments, but Lipovic is also the better rider right now.
Why?
Because he climbs better.
Yeah, but Remco TT better.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to outweigh the climbing difference.
Remco punch better.
Well, not in the middle of his last climbing. Towards the end, we'll talk about in a second, but I think that we're in a situation where these riders are relatively close together, and they should, like, I look at the situation as Pogačar's of the front. This is not the same as the segment for me where after Tourmalet and Gavarni, Jonas Vingegaard's ahead and they should all yodel all together in that situation and try and catch Jonas. The enemy here is maybe Del Toro, who is behind, who you're trying to get rid of. I think that's an element where they should work together. But if I'm Trek, then I also look at Red Bull first to do that. And on top of that, if anyone in this group has ambitions to come second, well, we always think about, this person, this favorite in the group, should eat their plate out to do what I want to do first so I can counter them afterwards. I don't think Jonas was going to stop pacing Tadej Pogačar here. So I'm okay with them, with the whole group ratting out Tadej Pogačar, even if Del Toro's behind. Because if you... Maybe with Trek, wow. I don't see the ambitions for second place.
With Red
Bull, I can.
I agree with you when it's like that, but you got two guys on each team. Don't you want to put Del Toro in a coffin first and then do that later?
I half agree. Yes,
because also
I would like that. But
you're going to take significant time on Jonas here, whereas you can take. Like, I agree, they dropped Jonas at the finish because they let him. He pulled the valley and then he pulled the last climb, and it worked.
If I'm Trek, I would definitely pace here, because if you're Trek, I'm sorry, Del Toro's massive competition for your top 5-4 positions. If you're Lipovic, then I want to try and get P2 instead of P3 this year, and I will use anything in my power to beat Jonas Vingegaard. And if that is ratting out Jonas, forcing him to do all the pacing, at the cost of maybe risking losing to Del Toro, I'm sorry, if Lipovic's not confident he can beat Del Toro in the mountains, then he's definitely not going to come second either.
True. And also, Remco's provisionally tied with Vingegaard on GC right now.
Really? I didn't even know that.
No, if you factor in the TT gain, but like 20, 30 seconds.
Right now, who of the two would you see more likely to podium this race, Remco or Lipovic?
Lipovic.
I think so as well.
Because he won't let Remco podium. How's Remco going to podium?
Well, I think he's going to struggle more than Lipovic in the mountains. So that's my take.
Yeah, I agree with you. But also... if Remco's third, this will sit behind him and make him pull to chase. Anyway, I think you're right. I think also they couldn't pull, or that at that moment, Schelmoser did try to pull because Remco was getting dropped. By the way, we've kind of buried the lead here. Pogačar goes across to win the stage with a huge gap. Really? He extends it. He was the best rider in the stage. He wasn't having any issues. He wins by 32 seconds. Remco comes back on the descent where Roglic crashed behind him in 2024. And I think they still had a 3K rule here. And you know what Vingegaard should have done? Yep. I'm pretty sure they had a 3K rule still today.
What do you mean?
Vingegaard should have dropped this chain in the last 2Ks.
Should have faked the mechanical.
Yeah.
Doing him at Lear. Was it at Lear? No, Jakobsen.
And yeah, because Roglic just went night on that hairpin. He got the same time as Remco back in 24. Sykes third on 34 seconds. Lipovic fourth on 34 seconds as well. Ayuso Schelmoser 38 seconds. Vingegaard loses 12 seconds to Remco on 44 seconds. Maybe Remco was letting Vingegaard do the work and letting him dangle. And maybe Del Toro loses a minute to Remco, so they do take big time on Del Toro. We saw Del Toro, Pidcock sprinted. When they were in the valley, they sprinted into the back of the neutral cars. They nearly got close, and then Remco was smashing it. They blew up. Lenny and Pidcock look at Del Toro to pull. Del Toro, refused to pull them.
But so Pidcock crashed in Primory Descend.
Yeah.
Managed to make it, because he did make it back to the GC group, right? On Pertus. He's been chasing the whole Pertus then. I don't know for sure.
No. Pidcock entered Pertus like fourth wheel.
Really? So he got back.
And then went, yeah.
That's pretty epic. But it does make to be honest, today's stage was fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was not as maybe epic to have like the upset that Jonas won last time against Pogačar, who gapped him first. That was a bit of an interesting dynamic, but it definitely was a solid stage today. I would say the most striking part of Pogačar's victory was not that he won. A logical outcome of today's stage. It's more the aspect that that UAE was clearly trying to balance multiple objectives at the start of Pertus. Because when Pogačar says to Adam Yates, you got to slow down because Del Toro's struggling, is my assumption, then they're also thinking about white jersey, podium chances for Del Toro. It makes me believe that they are indeed thinking about Team GC already in stage 9 of a Tour de France. I think they're thinking about not just winning this Tour de France, but also dominating it.
Should Mexico be unhappy with Pogačar and UAE today?
I don't think so. I think it's completely right for Tadej Pogačar to, first of all, be in the camp of, okay, we'll try and manage Del Toro to the finish at the start of Pertus, but then if he starts slipping halfway through when Piganzoli starts putting on the tempo, then Pogačar needs to make a decision, and I think that's the right thing to do. He attacked, and I think that was the right thing to do. And
no, I mean, making the stage so hard before obviously fucked him.
Well, I'm sorry, but if you want to podium the race, Del Toro, then you gotta be on level to do so.
Yeah,
that's the reality.
This reminds me of stage 16 in the Giro last year after the rest day.
Ooh,
he got fried by Carapaz, G, Yates.
Was that the one with the step climb?
Yeah, San Valentino.
Yeah. Don't know why I remember the profile, but not the name of the climb. But that said,
let's do a revised GC. Revised GC. Pogačar extends his lead to 3:36 over Vingegaard. Vingegaard's lead over Evenepoel's now 30 seconds. So Evenepoel's closed the gap by 12 plus 6, 18 seconds today, and which is not nothing. Ayuso's on 4:22. He's 16 seconds off the podium behind Evenepoel. Sagsas is on 4:35. He's 30 seconds off the podium. Lipovic's 4:44. He's 38 seconds behind the podium. They're all within a minute of Vingegaard as well. Del Toro drops 4 spots. He's on 5 minutes 08. And he's now a minute off the podium. And Schelmoser moves up a spot, 5:45. Martinez drops a spot, 6:34. There's now a proper separation between, I would say, second to 8th. Let's call them one grouping. Lenny's in 9th on 6:34. And then there's another grouping of Pidcock in 10th. He moves up 3 spots despite the crash. He is about 25 seconds ahead of Bernal, who suffered today. Van Wilder moves into 12th, and Piganzoli moves into 13th.
Now, the element of Jonas Vingegaard getting dropped at the finish line by the other riders in Group 2, I don't think Jonas is going to like that. I think he wants it to be very clear that he's the second best rider in the race. Now, at the end of this, I don't think that time gap will matter too much when we actually hit the actual mountain. So if we get to the Plateau de Solaison, I'd expect the Jonas to be the second best rider on that climb. So these are the kind of stages where you can put in Jonas in a position where he has to ride more than he perhaps wants to do. That's very clear in the last 15 kilometers of this stage, I think. But we said it before this tour even started, Patrick. Like, I made no secret about the fact that I thought Tadej Pogačar was going to win this Tour de France relatively comfortably. But we both fully agreed that the podium battle was going to be the attraction of this Tour de France. Whether it's Paul Sixas, whether it's Ayuso, Evenepoel, Lipovic, Jonas Vingegaard's P2, maybe. if something happens in the last week that is a bit of an upset in the race. Del Toro potentially fighting for that podium as well. Fell through the ice a little bit today, but it's actually been really close so far. It's still really close, and I think it's going to be close until the last week. I don't think this is going to be decided on Plateau de Salins on the podium.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, this is like they're all close to each other. Like Skelmoza, Ayuso, Sykes, Remco, Lipovic, they've all been together every stage. Now Vingegaard couldn't drop them today. So yeah, I think the podium battle's gonna be really, and it's high quality too. It's like big money. Are you big money leaders of Bora, big money leader of Trek? Vingegaard's a top rider. Sykes is the future guy. Like, it's a high quality Tour de France podium battle.
Especially if you compare it to last year.
Like you can't scam fifth in this tour.
That's for sure. And let's hope we don't have any crashes that lead to one of these riders dropping out, because I want a full battle between these titans until the end of the race. And I am really enjoying that aspect of it. Tom Pidcock coming in 10th in GC after today. I wrote him off for GC before today. I'll be completely honest. To me, it looked like he was going to be breakaway candidate, go for stage wins, that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, we've come to the era where before this Tour de France, we said mountain stages don't go to the breakaways anymore. Last year is a bit of an upset there where there was an Arensmont breakaway winning a mountain stage, for example. But it's fair to say that the majority of mountain stage are going to be won by Tadej Pogačar. That's now also the case with this stage, for example. If you look at 5 years ago, this would have been a transition breakaway stage.
Yeah, I mean, Carapaz would have battled Lenny Martinez, Valentin Perry-Pancho, Alex Baudin. Yeah. And yeah, it's not, and that's why KOM as well. Like, KOM's probably going to go to Pogačar because he's now winning these sort of stages where you'd think, okay, a break guy can mop up a few points. I mean, Carapaz does move into third on 19 points, but he's 23 points adrift of Pogačar.
Yep. I think week 3, stage 20 is going to be important there, but Tadej's looking pretty good for that classification. That is certainly true. Now, it does make it so that breakaway is becoming less and less of a thing outside of the lighter breakaway stages, the Pedersen, Van der Poel, Abrahamsen kind of stages. So the way I look at the Tour de France these days, big mountain stages go to most likely the favorite in GC, medium mountain stages 75% of the time as well. Light break stages are still a thing for the smaller teams. Sprints go to the top sprinters right now in the Tour de France. There's very little compared to 5 to 6 years ago for the Cofidis-like teams with an Izagirre to go in the breakaway, for an EF in the breakaway with a Carapaz to win, compared to especially the Froome era, you know, where Froome was really happy, and Sky, for letting a breakaway win and finishing 7 minutes behind, that kind of vibe. That said, I don't agree with those teams who then come up and say, I think it was Movistar that I saw a vague remark towards UAE Team Emirates that they're breaking the unwritten rules of cycling.
No, I agree with Rojas.
You agree?
I'm a full traditionalist. You can call me a hypocrite. I'm a full traditionalist. I don't like both stages in, say, week 3, both mountain stages in week 3 of a Grand Tour that's decided. One of them not going to the break.
Yeah, but that's not UAE's fault.
I know it's not. I'm just saying, and I'm not even saying it happened in the Giro as well. I'm a romantic. I like seeing VPP. I would have Ludovico Crescioli. I'm just and as a neutral, if you're watching as a neutral, yeah, seeing a different name. And then I love a GC battle behind is also okay. But I think you got to understand the economics of the sport. Like, this is the Tour de France is the biggest exposure they can get, right? The sponsors pay 80% is for and if one team, okay, be greedy on the mountain stages, whatever, Pog wins them. But now that the reason they're kicking off is because it's a medium mountain stage, because stage 9, it was like, come on, it's a rouleur transition break. You're not going to let Aaron Baru have his day in the sun. We need this. We need this to survive. Why do you need this? Is what they're doing.
I think my take towards stage 9 was more that if you're actually going for the stage, then you're never going to have won it to begin with. Because I don't see how Pogačar and Del Toro comfortably win that against the Mess Pedersens of the world on stage 9 to begin with. So I think that's not a great strategy to start with. It still went to the breakaway, though, in the end.
Yeah, but a break day, like, I don't know.
It's a break day where the absolute strongest of the break riders ends up winning, which I don't have an issue with that.
Van der Poel deserved to win, that's for sure. But that, I'm just saying, that's where these teams are coming from. They don't have a GC guy that can win a stage. They cannot win the TTT. They cannot win the individual time trial. They can't win a mountain stage. And unless you have Merlier or Coy, you probably can't win a sprint either. They need these smaller stages, and that's why they're kicking off. But on the other hand, Tim Wellens, the UAE guys, of course, they're up for it. Hey,
yeah,
Tim Wellens, you put in a shift today, Pog will do the business, and he'll win, and you get more prize money. You know, he's got to fix his wig piece. You know, so of course they're motivated to pull.
Now, for me, it's more that I think the criticism is then misplaced. Like, UAE's not going to stop being quote unquote greedy for the stage wins. If you want change in the fact that there's a dominant team like this at the Tour de France, then you have to find a way to do it structurally in the sport. And we've had our conversation about salary caps on so forth. I don't see how that's remotely realistic, but there are some ways you can make it easier. And I've said this numerous times already. Tour de France don't have it with 8 riders per team.
Yeah.
It's much easier for a team to control the race if they've got 8 riders instead of 7. 7 would probably not massively change the current state of this Tour de France, but it'll make it a little bit more likely that the break wins.
It changes nothing from a GC perspective. Because what would happen is UAE then need to prioritize resources. Okay? So they would then make sure a correct break goes, but then they have to let the break go. So they have the horses to make the race harder later, let's say. I mean, maybe Tim Wellens is enough, but so then you can make a GC difference with the other riders you have. But when you have 8, it's easier to control. It also goes down to stage design. Like,
yeah,
Pertus is so close to the finish here. They took out 50 Ks of rolling terrain at the start. It's just easier to control than the 2024 stage as well. So,
UCI point cap per race? You need good rules for it to work.
I don't like actually capping competition. I think once you have the box of this is the parcours, this is the rules, I think you should then let people race to the maximum. That's why, again, I think criticism of UAE is unfounded. Although, you could look at it like they got a stage win today. They extended the gap on second, but they lost third on the podium.
Yeah,
So
they were trying to balance objectives, and they had to make a rough decision to attack with Pogačar and let it go because Del Toro couldn't hold up, which is also a constraint.
Del Toro would never have dropped if they rode the stage differently.
If they, from the get-go,
If they let the break one and chilled out and it was just a bit different and then Poggi jumped and Pertus, Del Toro's not losing a minute. He got fucked.
Yeah, but I don't think they can predict Del Toro on Puy-Marie on Pertus having that moment. I wasn't expecting it on this stage.
Can't climb it. We're going to have to revisit those.
Today's a medium mountain stage. Del Toro usually doesn't struggle on medium mountain stage.
I agree. I was surprised. I agree. I think, who the streets will not forget today? The streets will not forget, Benji? It's not Tim Wellens.
Prodom.
Nicola Prodom. What the fuck was going on there? That was one of the best pulls I've ever seen. No, he was mogging Adam Yates. Straight mogging. Prodom looks crazy.
I hard disagree. I hard disagree on this. And the reason I hard disagree is because when Prodom was pulling hard, the rest didn't follow. Twice.
Yeah,
he didn't pull anyone. He pulled air.
He was making them real nervous. It was incredible. He was so good today. Incredible pull.
I love it. You made a video yesterday.
He was in it. I gave it to Benoit, but Decathlon, him and Benoit were in my video yesterday. Yeah.
Hashtag free promo.
Hashtag for no free ads. Piganzoli Bernal top 10 GC battle. We will be monitoring the situation. What else is Yuzo's in the white jersey outright now, by the way.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you think's a good return for Trek? White jersey in 4th? They'll take it. I think
top 5
I think you take
is already
it.
a good start. White jersey is the combination is perfect for me. I think that plus green jersey, that would be pretty epic if you're
they're
top
on the
5.
same team.
Yeah, Pedersen's also on that team, yeah. I know he rides in a different kit, but...
That's a good tour. Jokes aside, that's a stage win with Pedersen, 2 guys in the top 7 in GC, 1 guy top 5, white jersey, green jersey. That's a very, very good Tour de France. And much better than last year.
Team classification, Patrick.
And teams class. Hey, you're on the podium 3 times. UAE can't say that.
Well... Not anymore.
Not anymore. Because they killed the prince today.
Yeah. Prince is not completely dead yet, though.
When it goes wrong, it really goes wrong. It's a bit like early Pog.
I agree if it happens within a stage. I'm not sure he doesn't have like the mental recovery over days. Does that make any sense?
No, for sure. In the next days, it'll be fine. No, I mean like, he was sitting on Pidcock and Lenny on a flat valley, and I was like, yeah, but all due respect, but they're like smaller than me. So if you want to get back to the front, you're going to need to pull. And he like wasn't pulling, and then he attacked them on the hill, and I was like, I'm not sure that was minimizing your time gap effectively. I needed Carapaz to be on his wheel on the final climb, just like...
I will never forgive you for putting in the call to catch Carapaz on Pertus, by the way. I will never forgive you.
That was Nicola Prudhomme.
That was Piganzoli, buddy. That was Piganzoli.
Nah.
When Prudhomme stopped... Prudhomme wasn't pulling anything. I repeat, he was pulling air.
It was literally Tadej Pogačar. Like, if you take the video and watch who catches Carapaz, it's literally Tadej Pogačar. It's not...
Who kept him within distance for a Tadej Pogačar attack?
Fucking UAE pacing it all day. Like, what? Piganzoli pulled for like 2 minutes.
Anyway, tomorrow, Vichy-Tonnerre, 160 kilometers, flat sprint stage. IS is about 20 kilometers in. I can't read those numbers, but I think it's 27. There's a KOM after the intermediate sprint where break could form, but we'll see if someone goes for it. Then there's another KOM in the last half of the stage, but it's a flat sprint, so I'm picking Temerlier.
When in doubt, Merlier. Merlier was ass today. He got dropped in break formation. I think he suffered a lot today. I'm going Biniam Girmay. Give me Binny. I think Binny's got good legs. And this is what happened last year, right? Philipsen looked terrible for the first 12 stages, and then everyone got tired, and he started to win sprints.
I at some points we'll need to talk about the punishment of this TDF prediction game. I think there was a vote in the comment section where a blue Smurf outfit won, but I think none of us will. I think we'll both veto against wearing that. I am for potentially the punishment. The loser dyes their hair Pogačar blonde.
No, thank you. Money can't buy taste, I'm afraid. So the all blonde. I would look like because I will look like Paul Bettany, Silas the fucking monk in the Da Vinci Code. I'll just go
like
full
Rob Pattinson
I'll
in
be like,
Dune Part
whatever.
3.
Let's wind it back. Let's pick a different door when I was 18 and let's go full monk mode instead of doing whatever else I did. And I'm just going to become an Opus Dei monk.
Paul Bettany is a bit taller than you. Yes.
Opus Dei doesn't have monks. That's what I just realized. It's
who is an Opus
people.
Dei?
It's literally just mostly lay people. Anyway. Or I would look like Robert Pattinson in the June trailer. Actually, is it permanent damage?
No. You can do it for a week. I don't care. 2 days.
All right, I'll do it.
Deal? That's our deal?
That's our deal. It's a really nasty one because, like,
I think it's fine.
People will think
I think we'll look better than you think. We don't have to cut it to that length. Just dye it, right?
No, I'm aware. I gotta get I gotta stop making mean comments. You brought up why am I dyeing my hair blonde? But you have to dye it blonde as well.
But I won't lose. I'm ahead. Your Tadej Pogačar win barely hit any damage. I'm like still winning by like a decade. I just brought up the punishment because I saw you were losing.
Mrs. Rouge is chiming in, and it's not looking good for your choice of punishment. So
yeah, I'll read the chat. Miss Rouge says, "No, you won't. You will not dye your hair, Patrick."
I want to look like Pogačar. He's my idol. He's really cool, and I want to be like him. So yeah, I want to dye my hair like that. Like Eminem. 8 Mile. Okay, thanks for listening to the podcast always. We'll see you with the recap of Binny's big victory and taking points back in the green jersey competition tomorrow. Till then, ciao, ciao.